'Cause this is my legacy,
Before I begin, I want everyone to know that the people I mentioned in this video, I am not by any means trash-talking them or their channel. The sole purpose of this video is to shed light on some ideas for a great game franchise. Hello everyone, my name is David, aka The Legacy, and this is a breakdown of ideas for a new Donkey Kong game on the Nintendo Switch. Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Splatoon 2, all have contributed to the success of the Nintendo Switch. Saying a game is good is strictly opinionated, but when a whole community says it's bad, something is going on. I want to mention that Donkey Kong 64 has been my favorite game for a long time now. There's more of a nostalgic factor in it for me besides just that, and I want to bring up a YouTube channel called Switch Force for saying that this game is only good for nostalgia, and it's bad because this game is, quote, slow as hell. Saying a game is bad because it's slow means you probably just didn't get into the game, which a lot of people have enjoyed. A lot of people like a video game for a sense of competition and a show of progression, which both are visible for this game. You could see a sense of progression by the 101% and checking the start screen for how many bananas you've collected and so on and so on. And there's a sense of competition with all the speedrunners like you see here with Connor75 for having this world record. There are some aspects of this game which are bad, and I give a shout out to Snowman Gaming for coming up with a more creative reasoning. So with this in mind, I want us to build an idea for a good Donkey Kong game that brings people like me back to the N64 era. There are quite a few aspects of this game that makes it a bad game for a lot of players, but right now I want to focus on only two really main contributing factors for this game being bad. One of these factors is that there are too many collectibles in the game. You have regular bananas, golden bananas, battle crowns, blueprints, banana fairies, and so much more, all having to be collected by certain Kongs to be able to 101% complete this game, as well as gun ammo and orange explosives to keep ammunition. This game is also really segmented, with certain items only being attainable by certain Kongs. You also can only get to certain areas, fight bosses, etc. with certain Kongs. Not to mention restricted areas unless you have a certain item, such as getting the Nintendo coin or battle crowns, whatever it may be to progress through the game. There are, however, a lot of really good things that make this game a good game. The first is that there is a sense of accomplishment with, like I said, the 101%, where you have to collect all the golden bananas and find hidden secrets within the game. It causes you to explore. And the next point is that it's an explorable 3D world. You could go wherever you want on the island, or when the factory that King K. Rool had crash landed. There's a bunch of areas where you find different worlds to be able to go to and explore. It's a really fun, explorable world. And at the end of each world, my next point is the boss fights in this game. I know Donkey Kong might not be well known for their boss fights, but each boss in its way was unique, although some of them were reused, but a lot of games have reused boss fights. If you look at Mario, you're always fighting Bowser, although some of the fights may be a little bit different. So is the fights in Donkey Kong. There's one central main goal, and that's to take down King K. Rool, stop his evil plans. They all have a common enemy in this game, and there's a variety of characters you could choose from. 5 different Kongs: Donkey, Diddy, Tiny, Linky, and Chunky. They all have their own personality, which is shown through the items they get, the music they receive, and even the abilities they receive. You've probably seen in Cranky Kong's lab, they all get unique own abilities for that are just completely different for each Kong, and it just brings out a great sense of personality, as well as the worlds. The worlds, like this right here, creepy castle. It's gloomy. It's like uh, kind of eerie. While places like Jungle Japes may be a little bit more upbeat and kind of like uh, outgoing. I guess I don't know how to describe Jungle Japes, but that is there's a lot of things that make this game a great game that a lot of people don't really see. They kind of just see the bad side of it as, man, there's too many collectibles, or even, hey, this game's a little bit long. Although 101% this game in 15 hours, and it took me 20 hours or more to 100% Super Mario Odyssey. But everybody's saying how well of a game Super Mario Odyssey is, which I think is amazing as well. But saying that the game is too long is kind of a bad argument for saying a game is good or not. I have come up with a few ideas for making Donkey Kong for the Switch, whatever game it will come out besides Tropical Freeze Report, a good game that is also built upon Donkey Kong 64. So, one is the multiplayer, is having a multiplayer. That means you could have 5 Kongs on one screen exploring the same island. I think that'd be so amazing to see every single Kong that was in Donkey Kong 64 that was playable be able to play all at the same time with your friends or whoever it may be that you're playing with. The second point I made is for the single player. The 5 Kong selection is easier to access rather than a location in the world. It could just be on your interface somewhere or on a select menu or something. Next is that there should be less collectibles, but the collectibles can be attained by all Kongs, making it to where if you want to play just one Kong strictly throughout the whole entire game, you can be able to collect everything, explore everywhere, and still be able to 100% the game. Each Kong could have their own unique way to traverse the world through their abilities. So, like, let's say there's a steep cliff. Well, if you're lanky, you could climb up it, or there could be an option for Donkey Kong to shoot himself with using a barrel up that hill, or Diddy Kong, he could use his jetpack. The ideas are just unlimited for each Kong to have their own ability. That also goes with boss fights. You could throw in tactics for each Kong to defeat an enemy. Let's give an example of the armadillo. You could do what you did with Donkey Kong and throw barrels at it, or you could use Chunky Kong, get really big and punch him, or you could use Tiny, go small and go inside of him to mess with him. Just kind of like you did in the King K. Rool boss fight. That was a really fun boss fight. The next is to make the main story difficult, but have steady progression, and have in-game content available for hardened game veterans that are willing to 100% the game. That is just thrown in there for people who say that the game was too long, for Donkey Kong 64 saying the game was too long. And the last note I have is to keep the sense of progression that it had in DK64, showing that the game is 100% complete, or you have 25 out of 25 of an item collected, etc. One last little thing I would like to mention for a sense of competition, I think Super Mario Odyssey did this poorly, is to try to have a high scores list for certain mini games inside of the game. I know with Super Mario Odyssey they had the volleyball thing at the beach and the jump rope, but that was just easily glitched or hacked or whatever it may be. So maybe there could be a speedruns leaderboard to keep track of the people that had speedrun the game and make it legit too. So that is just something that I had thought of to make the game more competitive between players. In closing, I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this video. I didn't see a DK64 remake happening since it didn't happen in the Nintendo DS era, and since Microsoft bought Rare, but a game like this still can be created. This is my first time creating something like this, so if you all have enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content. This was a really fun video to put together, and this has been The Legacy. I'll see you guys later this week for a new episode of Pokemon Platinum.